all about. That's what happens when you have a Monday holiday, right? Kind of throws your week off, regardless of what time or what season. Does not matter. It just kind of does that, throws you off. But good morning, everyone. This is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, live with Two
Sisters. Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. Boom, boom, coming to you live. I just had to do that. This, obviously, I'm fooling around with borders. There's all this new technology and stuff, which I'm trying to educate myself on. So that's a good thing. And I saw this and I'm like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of our old TV in Hartford with the rabbit ears on top. So
that's what I was going to say. The only thing missing is the rabbit ears.
Yeah. And I just got a kick out of the littlest things, right? And I get a kick out of this. So that's a good thing. Triumph Tuesday. It feels like a Monday, right? You know, is it one of those Mondays where it's 2 Mondays in the same week? We don't know, because you got to triumph over that, right? Because it is Triumph Tuesday. So let's talk about that.
You know, it's so hard when we have so many things going on in our lives and we're juggling, we're constantly juggling. It's like a circus juggling act, right? Trying to juggle our days, trying to juggle our responsibilities, also trying to juggle our own health and wellness to try to fit into the nook and crannies of the circus that's going on in our lives. And, you know, I tend to always resort to saying that life can be a circus because we just don't know. You have the excitement of what's going on. You may have a actor or someone that is enters into your life unexpectedly. That's kind of happens at a circus. You get these great performers going on and you don't know what to expect. And it is a juggling act. And how do we do that at the same time, really cherishing the little triumphs that we have that lead to other big triumphs? So they're like milestones, right? That lead you to a bigger goal. What is a triumph, really, when you think about that? A lot of people get a little confused with that. So think about this. You've had, you know, maybe one thing that you were wishing you're forever. It seems like forever. And finally you accomplished that. But it wasn't necessarily that you're not celebrating the goal of actually doing that. You're celebrating the triumphs that got you to that point, despite the odds, despite the distractions, despite the deflections, the curves in the journey. Those are the triumphs and the stepping stones. The triumphs are the stepping stones, all those little baby steps that help you reach that pivotal goal despite the odds. So a lot of people get confused between goal setting and what triumphs are. They're actually two different things. So we like to embrace our triumphs because they mean inevitably we didn't quit. We did it despite that distraction, despite that conflict, despite that deflection. And sometimes that's really hard, don't you think, Jan?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's hard because there are just so many digital distractions. And I think when you get into that, to goal setting, and when you get into all those things that make you, that build your foundation and keep you afloat, it's easy to become distracted. And I'm going to be quite honest, as I always am. I was just distracted a second ago. Airbnb confirming my my identity thing, and that caught me off guard. But whatever. But that just goes to show you that, you know, all these devices. I'm on my Mac. I have my Hewlett Packard here, cell phone, iPad, lots of distractions. So how are you going to meet your goals? Setting your intentions. And when you set those intentions, it's a way to cement your goal. So why not do that?
And it might not necessarily be with even just social media and or your electronics. You know, there's so many parents right now that have made that the awesome decision, because I think it's a great decision, to not conform and to take charge of their children's education and their homeschooling. They've got to do a lot of triumphing because they're not only now, we always say, especially moms, you have so many different roles. You're the doctor, you're the psychiatrist, you're the mom, you're the friend, you have all these different roles, the mediator, the referee, especially if you've got more than one child. And now you've added on school teacher. And, when I say add on school teacher, I don't think that's really accurate because parents were really and are the first teacher that a child is introduced to, because obviously you have to teach them things, right? You teach them sleeping patterns when they're babies, good sleeping patterns, and those tough times when that child is crying through the night, but you're kind of doing that. They'll work it out, teaching them to tie their shoes, how to hold utensils, to eat. All these things are these baby steps. So you're teaching them. So you've always been the teacher. And even in the educational department, you've always been the teacher because it's a broader view from an educational piece versus life experiences. But they're all teachable moments, whether you're teaching them colors and numbers, their letters, sounds. These are things that frequently is it actually introduced by the parent first, or the guardian or the caregiver, before the professional teacher, I should say. So now you've added the professional teacher role onto that role that at some point, and I think it's, when I say it's a rite of passage, parents are their child's teachers to basically age 4 years old, what I mean by from an educational perspective. And that is when that parent now has that rite of passage along with the child, that you're giving that child to an educational system. Well, sadly, that educational system is broken, not necessarily from the teachers. It's more about administration, school committees, the state interfering and injecting health, political mumbo jumbo that does not belong in the school system. Some pieces need to be, but not to the way that it's been done. So now parents are embarking on a new role. They're going to have a lot of triumphs that they don't even realize are going to occur. It may be you're triumphing over actually completing your first home day of schooling with your children, which is not going to be easy, guys. We know that, because you want your child to understand, like, now I'm the teacher. Mommy's not in the room. It's the teacher or the dad or the grandparent or the auntie or whoever is acting as the professional teacher. You have to put on that hat now. That's not an easy role. So for many that just are first starting this, that's going to be a huge triumph. Can I do this? What am I taking on? Am I making the right decision? So if you make it through your first day, even with the bumps and bruises, kudos, that is a triumph.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that, because you're put into a role where you've never been before. You are the parent or the caregiver, whatever the case may be, but now you're in a different role as the teacher. So that takes on a different dynamics, and dynamics are.
Sorry. I was actually sharing our live, and sometimes the volume, even though I have the volume turned down, if I put it on, it actually still goes up. I don't know why that does that. So go ahead, keep going, sorry.
Dynamics are dynamic. That's just the way it is. That means that there's going to be pivots along the way. And walking around the circle this morning, you have to, I pivoted just to give you, for instance, this is a little bit of an analogy, but I changed around my routine. So instead of doing my walk first thing in the morning, I decided to do my indoor workout. So as I'm out for the second part doing my walk, if I am walking the same direction, and everybody always makes fun of me, they say that I'm going the wrong way. Well, I want to go up the hill because I want my muscles to work harder. That's kind of a pivot. That's a pivot in my thinking. So think of the dynamics of the parent and the caregiver on a dime.
Right. I mean,
nonstop throughout the day.
Exactly, exactly. It really, you're now entering a space that you may not be comfortable with, and or not really knowing how the relationship role is going to go with that child or children. In many cases, it's multiple children that, guess what? You have to figure out a game plan, because you may have one who's, in preschool, you may have one that's in second grade, you may have one in fourth grade. There's a lot of juggling there. And I think for some, it's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking, but we're here to assure you, you can do it. You will triumph over it. You will probably have some bumps and bruises, but this is really a great time to either get involved with other co-ops or collaborate with other parents, guardians, caregivers in your area to kind of like maybe develop that social media group of, homeschooling parents or homeschooling families, and really utilize each other as trainers and what worked, what didn't work. Did you have success with this? Did you not have success with that? How did you deal with, the normal routine of, mommy, I want to get up, I want a snack, mommy, I want to go to the bathroom, mommy, can I watch my TV program right in the middle of the classroom time? And you have to remain calm. That's not going to be easy. So I want anyone that's actually homeschooling, we have this great message for you to, be kind to yourself. Give yourself some latitude that this may be new. And if you happen to be one of those parents, caregivers, or guardians that you've been doing homeschooling, maybe reach out to a newbie, in that field, and give them some encouragement that they can do this. That it's actually, when I think about homeschooling versus the positive things, and there's many positive things about going to school as well. Think about, from a teacher's perspective, she may be having, I don't know what the average size classroom is, like 18 to 23, let's say. And you're dealing with, 23 individuals versus a few, that you would be doing in your own home. Look at time-wise what you can accomplish more than the traditional classroom, because you don't have all the other students, number one. Number two, you probably, I would imagine, be able to get through lesson plans in a little bit more timely manner. And you can also introduce some great experiences that you couldn't get in the normal school, meaning you could take them on nature walks. You're not restricted by, mandates of what you got to do from the outdoors, indoors, mask, whatever. And you can have classrooms someday outside. You can visit local farms, communities, science museums. So I think you want to make it as enriching as possible, and always with learning as the number one focal piece. But learning is not always just in the classroom setting and or by a book. There are many life lessons to be learned. Even playgroup, when you get together with maybe other homeschool families, learning that social skill of playtime, sharing, how to talk respectful to your playmate. So I think there's a lot of positives out there. And I think when you're in that moment, like, can I do it? Will I triumph over it? Oh my God, I just want to get through that day. Remember of all the good and the positive things.
Absolutely. The good and the positive things. There's always good and positive. And, especially in the Northeast, there's no snow days. Kids wake up, oh, it's a snow day. Guess we can't go to school. That doesn't work. Just saying.
No, and you know what the other flexible thing is about triumphing over things like that with weather? What I love, and what I was talking about with my own family was, hey, maybe, everyone, everybody's working for the weekend, right? But what if the weekend weather's crappy? Well, you have that flexibility now to say, you know what? Thursday and Friday is going to be great, or Tuesday and Wednesday is going to be great, or Monday and Friday is going to be great. We're going to enjoy those days and maybe do some outside activities or go visit whoever. And we're going to have school on Saturday and Sunday when it's crappy outside. So you can't, you won't get distracted by, I want to go outside. No, you were going to get our work done, still have time for the rest of the day, but you have so much flexibility. And I think that is such kind of a cool thing.
Oh my gosh, it is. And think of what not only the children can accomplish, but what the parents or caregivers acting as a teacher can accomplish and also enhance their lives and be involved with the different committees or organizations around that support homeschooling, whether it be through social media or, you know, Zoom meetings, whatever it may be, you still have that connection. And what a great way to still have that connection, you know.
Right. And I would also encourage, if you're homeschooling, to contact your school. I mean, if your reason for homeschooling has to do with, you know, mandates, whatever it may be, contact that principal, contact the superintendent and say, hey, you know, I still would like, you know, my child's still involved with some things. I just, you know, right now I'm not comfortable sending them to school under the circumstances that we're under right now, but they may have a, you know, field trip. They may have some activities that your child can also still be a part of, but also make sure that the children in the neighborhood that they would normally play with, that maybe their decision is that they are going to school, that you make sure you make that time to still have that interaction. So school looks maybe a little bit different, with a lot more fun, a lot more flexibility, but they're still engaged with the people that they normally would be engaged with somehow, even if it's a little bit here and there. That's a great way, because I think really the goal for a lot of parents or families or caregivers that decided to embark on this journey, it's really it's conducive to their lifestyle, but also they're not comfortable with what's going on within their own school district. So they're making that choice to be still the parent, the person in charge of their child, which is so very important. So you don't want to forget that, but at the same time, you still want that connection if you can. Now, some don't, but you never know. There may be a time and place. I really think from all the parents that I've spoken to that have decided to homeschool, their intent is to have that child back into the regular school system at some point. It's just because of what's currently going on right now. But I do find that with also interviewing and talking to parents that have been already homeschooling for a year or two, they don't want to go back to that, because they've really found that, you know, while it was very bumpy and they celebrated all those triumphs, and there were many in the beginning, they've kind of worked out those kinks, and they just said life is more enjoyable now. I'm an intricate part in the curriculum that is being presented to my child. You know, it's a scary thing, that first day of letting go of your child into the hands of a school system that, you know, even if it was a school system that you attended, so much has changed. And because so much has changed, and even the teachers are limited and their hands are tied by bureaucracy, by, you know, political agendas, by biases, all these things that are not conducive to a child's mind and learning and growth. This is a way of really setting the tone. And I would bet, especially when I heard the sad news in New York that the school unions are demanding that the honor roll and anything that is an achievement of an honor of a student to be no more. You know, we've come to a point in our lives where everyone should always be celebrate those accolades of working harder than maybe the average to achieve a higher level of education or goal achievement, a certificate. We shouldn't do that, but the good thing about homeschooling is you can still do that because it's so important.
Wow, I didn't see that. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, it's pretty sad that that's what they want to get rid of. Anything to do, they don't want any higher achiever to be recognized, because that's not fair to anybody else.
There's just so much I can say right now.
I'm going to ask you this question. So if that's the case, let's go with that, right?
Okay.
Let's go with, we're going to do away with any kind of achievement awards recognition for anyone that works hard. What would happen to competitions? what would happen to the Olympics? What would happen in tournaments? Because not only in tournaments and games, Olympics, events, there's always a winner and there's always someone that doesn't win. It's called a loser. Loser is not a bad word, folks, but they're making it into something that's racist, which I don't get. That it's racist to only have one winner, or it's racist to showcase somebody that worked hard, because that's not fair to the person who didn't work as hard. Life isn't like that. And I think that's kind of getting lost in the shuffle that, so now you're going to change. Well, there will be no more promotions, because promotions in work, in a profession, is based on what? It is based on how you perform. So we're going to do away with that too?
The infamous Jim McKay, ABC Sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Love that. It is agony. Of course it's agony, because you worked really hard and you still didn't, you were the first place loser. But you know what? It's not, and yes, of course, in that moment it's disappointing, but there's always a lesson to be taught in any sort of journey. Celebrate that you finished the journey. Maybe you didn't get the glorified gold medal, but you worked hard at it. How many times have you worked really hard towards building your career to get to that next level and that promotion, and you're beat it out? Yeah, it doesn't feel too good, but it makes you stronger and try harder, or you may actually get some strategic critiques on how to do better.
Exactly. And the training aspect of a sports, let's say, or a team, baseball team. I think we're starting up, obviously, football season. What if those teams did not train toward something? So they're training towards something. Football season is starting. They want that Super Bowl. They want to win that Super Bowl. That's the end goal for them.
Tommy Brady, my man.
Ooh, Tommy Brady.
Love
and
him.
the Gronkmeister. I like Gronk.
Yeah, I do like Gronk. But don't you agree that if you're going to have a teachers union that is now, wants to get rid of honor society, achievements, certificates, can't showcase that student that's working really hard. Is that and this is when I talk to people about what's going on in our world and our school systems and our children, these are all little whittles, the whole whittling of that piece of wood, whittling away at rights. And, could you imagine 2 years ago that you could comply to wearing a mask or whatever that may be, mandates? Now it's to the extreme where you got teachers unions that want to take away honor society recognition. But if you look at the bigger picture, that's really the starting base. Okay, well, then there will be no more promotions if you work hard to achieve the next level in your career. You won't, there can't be a gold medal winner in the Olympics, because that's not fair to all the other athletes. You can't have a Super Bowl. Well, you could, but they're both the winners. Like, when does it stop?
It doesn't make any sense, because think of it this way. You're doing more of a disservice by not teaching your children to recognize the effects of hard work. You work hard, you strive for a goal. Sometimes you will meet it, sometimes you will not. You don't teach them those life lessons. Okay, so maybe you can call it a failure or whatever you want to call it, but in the grand scheme of things, that is a learning experience. How do they learn from that fail? That is crucial to developing your skills as they go through their whole lives.
Exactly. So we want to give a shout out to all those families that are embarking on homeschooling. Don't get distracted by what the big teachers unions are doing. You focus on what's best for your family. Still be engaged on what's going on in your community, because that's important. Very important to make sure that, you know, the rights of children are being heard, even though their voices are not being heard. You know, that we fight for them, for their rights, to the freedom to breathe, the freedom to a fair education. And, you know, we're in tough times, but with all of that, there will be many triumphs. There will be some failure, but there's also going to be many triumphs. And that's what Triumph Tuesday is about, is knowing that at the end of the day, I did my best. Maybe I didn't quite make it, but guess what? There's a little piece that's always a triumph. So maybe you didn't get through the day the way you wanted to get through the day, but you still got through the day. That's a triumph.
Absolutely. And on that note, it is Triumph Tuesday in the Two Sisters land of opportunity, because opportunity will always knock. Are you going to answer the door?
Or should I change the channel? I have to say that because she's in her TV world. I love that.
That's right. That's right. And I'm very excited. And
we should let our viewers know that are listening and not seeing. Janice is in, as she explained in the beginning part of our podcast, she has this frame around her face that looks like our old TV set. Literally, minus the rabbit ears, but it's a cool Zoom frame. So we understand, for those who want to know where to get these cool frames, if you're on your Zoom application or on your desktop, you're going to go under settings, and then you're going to go look at backgrounds and or filters. So you can create some really cool looking podcast or lives or whatever. And I'm going to leave that up to her because she's good at the technical stuff. I might try it. We'll see. Knowing me, it might not come out looking so pretty, but I'll figure it out. But with that, how do you want to close this out, Jan?
Okay, so today, triumph over the adversities, triumph over something that you've completed, triumph over making your bed, which I am going to be doing right after this broadcast. My name is Janice, AKA Wellness Diva 5.0 without the rabbit ears, but I am with Two
Sisters, and this is Carol, so AKA Naughty Bus, live on this Triumph Tuesday. Triumph, as we chatted about, doesn't have to be anything big. It could be that you just made it through your first day of homeschooling. We applaud all those families that are doing that. You are to be commended. Also, shout out to all the teachers out there that, you know, they're feeling a little like their hands are tied on what's going on in the world. You are valued, and your teachers, your colleagues respect you, as well as the other way around, and your kids love you. So you just do what you do, teach. And with that, we will see you tomorrow on Wellness Wednesday. Everyone have a great day.
Bye, everyone. Oh, we'll be on at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
That's right.
Bye-bye.